Alright, what's going on, boys? Welcome. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is a pretty special video for me, considering the fact that literally 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I was sitting right here in this exact same spot with this exact same t-shirt on. You can go back and watch that video. It's the first video of the Road to Payout series, of getting my first payout. But as you can tell by the title of this video, I have now made more money from prop firms in the past 2 months, essentially, than I've spent in the past 2.5 years of my trading journey. And this is very symbolic for me because, like I said, I was sitting here in this exact same chair, exact same shirt, just with a little shorter hair, no facial hair, just 3 months ago, at my lowest point, wanting to quit and give up on trading. Coming out and humbling myself and telling you guys and putting it out on this channel that I was at my lowest point and that I never wanted to give up more than I ever did when it comes to trading. And it's just crazy because it literally takes a month of truly locking in and following your rules, and it can truly change your life. Because once you get that first payout, I made a TikTok on this as well, but once you get that first payout, there's a mindset shift that changes and tweaks in your brain, and you know that it's possible. And I'm living proof. This is exactly why I literally have documented every single step of the way. And this is exactly why I wanted to do it, because if you're watching this and you're struggling, I was in your shoes for so long, and the pain is so great and the suffering is so prominent, but it is worth it, okay? If you don't give up and you sit down and you take responsibility for every single action that you take on the charts and you never quit, you will eventually make it out onto the other side, and I am living proof of that. So this is honestly a crazy video to make, considering where I was at, how I felt just a few months ago, but that's why I'm making this video. So with that being said, I'm going to hop onto my computer real quick, and I'm going to show y'all the most recent payout that I got, including all the prior payouts that I've gotten on my Top Step dashboard. And then we're going to hop into my trading journal and my spreadsheets where I classify all my trades, and we'll get into literally all the stats that have led me up to this point, because I've done this on one singular 50K account. Okay, I've made almost $5,500 in the past 2 months on one singular Top Step 50K account. This is not scaling. I've been on this one singular account for the past 2 to 3 months, okay? So we're going to go get into all the stats, what it actually takes to start to pull money from these prop firms, and the biggest differences that I found in my own trading. But I wanted to make this like full screen face-to-face as the intro, because it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm in this position right now. So we'll hop into that. We'll go over the biggest changes that has led me to this point of finding success. So let's hop into that. All right, hopping onto the computer here, just for proof's sake, here are the 1, 2, 3, 4 different payouts that I've requested. You can see March 5th, March 25th, April 13th, May 1st, essentially 2 months time of in between all these 4 different payouts. So you can see 1,800, 1,400, 1,100, 900, which is my first payout. And it's crazy because I remember this first payout video. You can go back and watch it, but this was genuinely the happiest that I've ever been when it comes to trading. And I just remember geeking out so hard. And just 2 months later, I'm requesting a payout that's double that size. And there was literally almost no reaction after requesting this payout. It might have been because it was solely because I kind of scalped a winning day. I already had 4 winning days. This was on Friday. This was literally market open. I just want to put this in there because I didn't make a trade recap. But we got this 15-minute candle close, essentially confirming the draw and liquidity higher towards all-time highs right when the market opened. So I don't usually take the market open candle, but I did with $150 risk, simply trying to take a 1-to-1 to get that winning day, and I got it within the first 2 minutes of market open. So it might have been because I was just kind of scalping a winning day, but when I secured this payout on Friday, it was just like a sigh of relief. It wasn't even excitement. Like, yeah, I kind of smiled a little bit, but it was nowhere close to my reaction 2 months ago. It's just crazy. But every single time I get a payout, all I can do is just be thankful and thank God, because I used to pray when I was struggling. I used to pray for God to literally take trading away if it wasn't meant for me, because I was so tired of wasting time, and feeling like I wasn't progressing for years. And it just got to a point where I would pray constantly to God. And I don't want to make this too religious, but I just want to be as transparent as possible. Like, just praying, like, Lord, take this away, guide me into a different direction if this isn't for me. I'm tired of wasting my time. But if this is for me, then allow me to find success here soon. And on, I don't know, things just work out on his timeline. And you have to be, I think the biggest thing, whether you're religious or not, is you have to be submissive in the process of trading. You can't force the timeline. You can't set these different dates and timelines expecting for yourself to succeed by that certain date, because it's only going to put more pressure, unneeded pressure on yourself. And you're not going to succeed doing that. I did that for so long, and it wasn't until I truly submitted to the process and got rid of all my timelines and said, God, if this is for me, allow this to happen according to your timeline, whenever that may be. And if it's not, then please guide me in another direction. And here we are today. It's just even more confirmation of what I'm doing right now is aligned with where I'm supposed to be, I feel like. So that's another biggest thing, is just literally is just submitting to the process, not abiding by these made up timelines in your head. I know it's really easy to do that. It's really easy to get attached to the monetary value. And I want to say the best part about these payouts isn't the dollar amount. It's not the dollar amount. It's the proof of concept, and it's the confidence that I get to know that this is possible, right? I'm only trading 150K account right now. Most people would jump and rush the process of scaling, but for me, it's not, like I said, it's not about the monetary amount. It's about the success and the confidence that these payouts bring me. So I've already calculated it out. It's about $5,368, and this is the total amount that I've ever spent on prop firms. You can see Top Step, Alpha Futures, MyFunded Futures, even going back to TJR's one-of-one funding, bro. Might have been the biggest scam in terms of like accounts, because these were literally, they weren't even futures, they were CFDs, and it was literally $500 up front that I was paying for a 2-step challenge to then get funded. And that just kind of shows you how naive like I was when I first started trading, and that's kind of why I am making these videos, because I wish I could go back and tell my younger self, my two years ago, like the right process and the right steps to actually take in order to become successful, because I had to swift and sort through a lot of garbage. Like, yes, TGR is a good entry point, but like, dude, one-of-one funding was not it whatsoever, dude. So you can see I spent $1,000 on one-of-one funding accounts. I had to go back into my bank statements and pull up all these records, because obviously they went out of business, right? Same thing with Top Step when they upgraded their dashboard, I think 8 or 9 months ago. I lost all of the prior expenses, so I had to go back into my bank account. Thankfully, your bank account tracks, I use Chase, but it tracks the past 2 years of payments. So I was able to essentially get all of the purchases that I have made with Top Step. And these are a little bit rough in terms of eval prices and activation fees. It's as accurate as I could get it in terms of having to go back into my bank statements. You can see Top Step, Alpha Futures, My Funded Futures. I remember I passed one of these accounts like last summer, so almost a year ago. It was a no activation fee. I just remember being incredibly emotional with it. But anyways, you can see the prop total is $4,550. Total payouts now are $5,368. So I'm positive. And you can see here another reason why I have been documenting this channel and trying to be as authentic as possible is because over my trading career, I have spent $3,000 total on info products, on various sorts of information and education that were ultimately complete BS. I can't sit here and say that I don't regret any of those purchases because ultimately they weren't the best use of my money. And so that's why I kind of want to that's why I originally started this channel to just document and do trade recaps for myself in order to improve, but it became a way to be as transparent as possible, so that you don't have to go out and spend and waste $3,000 on education when it's not needed whatsoever. Okay, so you can technically say that, adding up the education wise, it's a total of $7,800. But the whole premise of this video is prop firm expenses, right? So I've spent this much on prop firms. I've made this much now in the past 2 months. So hopefully in a little bit here soon, we can surpass that total when we add up the education part of it. And then this is also a TradingView subscription this is like literally all my trading expenses. This is a TradingView yearly subscription I bought last year. So that totaled up to like $300. So that's the total. This is the total amount in terms of props. This is the total amount in terms of education and various subscriptions. And that's the amount that I made for my payouts. And so now getting into the sauce, we're going to go through my trading journal and how I've classified each and every trade that I take. And this is where the money is made. This is the bread and butter, okay? So I have all these classifications. I have all my stats for my trades, and I journal my trades here. You can see, I don't know. You can see how I journal these trades. I put the 1 minute, the 5 minute, 15 minute, my daily bias in here, some notes for myself. And I then, after each week that I journal my weekly trades every single day after I take the trades. And then I go into my trading stats. And I have this tab here. This is since my YouTube return. So since basically I've started to come back and make videos and find success, since coming back in, I believe, the beginning of February, so like February 1st, is when I was sitting here in this exact same t-shirt coming out and saying that I wasn't profitable, that I wasn't making money, and I humbled myself. These are all the trades and all the stats since that time. So over the past 3 months or so, you can see the eval stats over here, and then these are all the XFA stats. And then I have my XFA win rate, my total win rate, including the eval trades. And then I have something here. It's called number of days I've missed a textbook trade because I took a bad loss. So like I've had 2 days where I forced a bad loss, and then a textbook setup occurred after that point in time. So that's just a little mental note that I have here. And then these would be my XFA stats if my executions were flawless. In my eyes, I've only had like 2 valid statistical losses. And so the hypothetical win rate would be about 90%. You can see the win rate right now is about 65%. So this just goes to show you, like, yes, as you need to follow your rules, right? But you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to execute perfectly. What you have to do is follow your rules each and every day. And even if you don't execute perfectly, if you take a dumb trade, as long as you don't crash out and you stay in the game and you don't blow your accounts in one day, you're going to be set up for success. I've done this on a 65% win rate system with about a 1-to-1 to a 1 RR or a 1.5 RR trade. That's my average risk reward. And I've done this on a 65% win rate. 17 wins, 9 losses. Yes, hypothetically, it could be a lot better. But guess what? I haven't had one day where I crashed out and I blew all my accounts because I went on tilt after taking a loss. So that's the biggest thing, dude, is literally just staying in the game. You don't have to be perfect. What needs to be perfect is your discipline to follow your rules. And that discipline to follow your rules allows you to make mistakes on the charts because we are human at the end of the day. And then you can see we have 16 break-even trades, 3 invalid break-evens. So this is like emotional of not following my rules, and then 13 textbook break-evens. So, and then the average number of good trades per week has been about 2.5. And I always say this, each and every week there's going to be 1 to 3 good days of good volatile, good moving price action with good opportunity. And it's about preserving capital on the days that those don't present themselves. So on a no news Monday, it's likely not going to present a good trade. On a no news Friday, when price has already expanded all throughout the week leading up to that, we're likely going to chop around. So those are days where we're likely not going to be on these good trades per week. So this is just a mental reminder that I have for myself, and I kind of document how many, like some weeks there's 0, some weeks there's 1, most weeks there's 2 to 3 good trades per week of good moving price action that I can execute on. And this is how I keep my stats. This is what keeps me sane. Yeah, going into my trading journal, we're just going to go over one example here. I have the result. I have why it succeeded and failed. All these reasons, you can pause the video and look at them more in depth if you want to. But coming back to the trading journal here, my main losses come when the internal liquidity is already wicked. So we wick out the internal liquidity, then we get a retrace and a reaction. If you've watched some of my recaps, you know, like this is kind of the main, obviously you can see this is the main thing where a lot of my losses come from. And this is just how I kind of classify these trades in my own mind, and you need to start classifying them for what makes sense to you. But this is how I classify them in my trading journal. You can see these classifications here, and then I put them in my Excel spreadsheet to literally physically show myself why I am losing and why I am winning. So I don't really know what all y'all want to see here, but like this is how I journal my trades. I put a screenshot from the 1 minute, from the 5 minute. On this day, this is last Monday, clean execution after the 5 minute candle close confirms the drawn liquidity lower. And then we come to the 5 minute chart, we can see this internal low here. 5 minute chart displaces. There's no doubt in my mind at this point in time after this 5 minute candle that we're coming down to the sell side liquidity here. So then what do? I place a 1.2 R limit order to the first sell side liquidity, which ended up being a 1.5 to the second sell side, which I ended up holding towards, and just rocking a big stop loss according to the 5 minute displacement towards the drawn liquidity. This is how I kind of classify my trades, and you can see a lot of my wins come from these kind of trades, this kind of trade classification where the 5 or the 15 minute candle has confirmed the drawn liquidity, prioritizing those higher time frame closes. And that's how I found success. Literally just prioritizing, putting on an emphasis on prioritizing the A+ drawn liquidity and displacement. And a lot of times being zoomed out on the 5 and the 15 minute charts stops you from getting chopped up on the 1 minute and allows you to really see that displacement when it's obvious, because the displacement is going to be obvious on the higher time frame charts, right? I hope that makes sense. But yeah, that's about, I don't know what else I can put in this video. I don't want to make this too long. All right, so to wrap this video up, all in all, I just want to say I'm not making this video to brag or to toot my own horn. I'm making this video to motivate you, because I know there's so many people that were in my exact same position. So please use this as motivation to lock in. And actually, one more thing I forgot to insert. I have made these. It's probably going to be inverted on the camera. Can you see that? I have made these notes to myself. February, this is the month that I will follow my rules. And then you can see there's check marks on the bottom of them for each and every single trading day. I had one for February. I had one for March. You can see all the check marks. And I had one for April. And you can see there's a couple days where there are X's, right? I'm not perfect. The goal is to strive to become perfect with trading. You should always strive for perfection. But the reality is that we're human and you're not always going to be perfect. But like I said, you can still have 1 or 2 days where you mess up on the charts. But as long as you stay in the game and you preserve your capital, yes, you might lose one day, but if you blow up and you crash out and you blow that account, the next trading day when an A+ setup comes, you're going to have to be taking that trade on an eval rather than an express funded account where you can actually make money trading. And it's all because you blew up and crashed out the day before, right? So I just wanted to put that in there. That's one thing that has helped me stay disciplined. And once you start to get into the week, once you start to make this a habit and you can see all these check marks, you don't want to let yourself down, right? You've already stayed disciplined for 3 weeks in a row. Why would you break your rules now, right? And then it just starts to become a habit. It just starts to become who you are. It starts to become your identity on the charts. You start to identify yourself as being a profitable trader. And then all of a sudden you just look up and you're a disciplined trader and you're starting to make money and starting to get payouts. So like I said, I want to make this video to motivate you, because I know there's so many people who are feeling how I was feeling 3 months ago. And just know that if you don't give up, if you start to take responsibility for every single action that you take on the charts, you start to keep your stats, look back in your trading journal, see what trades fail, what trades win, and start to actually improve and take this seriously. And I'm not saying you're not taking it seriously, because I was taking it seriously for the 2 years that I was finding no success. But it's so easy, especially with social media nowadays, to deflect the blame onto all these other things and not sit down and do the hard thing, which is taking responsibility for yourself. And another thing that has helped me, honestly, kind of detach from the charts is realizing that life is bigger than trading. And one thing that's really helped me with this is waking up in the morning with the sunrise. As soon as I wake up, I make my bed, I go outside and I go for a morning walk, get some sunlight in my eyes, be surrounded by nature. I'm in the trees. And whether you're religious, you can pray during that time. You can just talk to God. You can do some daily affirmations, whatever you need to do. Or you can just, sometimes I just go on a walk and in peace and don't think about anything. But something about doing that, it's a subconscious reminder that life is bigger than whatever happens on the charts. And I think it's a good mental way to start my day, and to kind of lower my stress before hopping onto the charts in a high stress environment. And so that's something that's also helped me a lot as well, I feel like. I just wanted to put that in there. But yeah, man, that's going to do it for this video. I hope there was some sort of value in here for you. And just know, if you're struggling, it'll get better soon. It'll get better soon if you start to take responsibility for your actions. It won't get better if you just stay in the same place and don't make any changes. If you're not willing to make any changes, I can't guarantee you it's going to get better. But if you're willing to put your blood, sweat, and tears and give this your all, I can guarantee you, if you never quit, you will never fail. You don't fail if you never quit. I think the saying is, you can't fail if you never quit. If you never give up, you can't fail. Something like that. And that's the mindset you got to have. So keep pushing, and just know it'll get better soon. So that's going to do it for this video, man. Hopefully this helps you in some sort of way. I appreciate you watching. Keep pushing. And just know that this is possible. This is extremely possible. So with that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, boys.